Hello everybody and welcome to this edition of Better Know a Highway on Virtual Road Trip, a series where we take an in-depth look at all the interstates and highways that cross this beautiful country of ours. Today we're heading to New England to explore one of the region's most important thoroughfares, Interstate 93, a highway that stretches from the big city of Boston northwest through small cities, towns, and villages throughout New Hampshire and a little bit of Vermont. So let's take a look here. I-90 runs for 190 miles through 3 states in a southeast to northwest direction. Most of the route is within the states of Massachusetts and New Hampshire, with a very small section at the north end in Vermont. Starting in the south, I-93 begins at a T-junction with I-95, first heading east to the South Boston suburbs before taking a sharp turn to the north to head into the heart of the city itself. Just before reaching downtown Boston, 93 junctions with I-90, the Massachusetts Turnpike, then quickly enters the Thomas O'Neill Jr. Tunnel directly under the city. The 1.5-mile-long tunnel is part of a much larger mega project, the Central Artery Tunnel Project, but known locally and somewhat infamously as the Big Dig. This long-term endeavor, which sought to place major thoroughfares under downtown Boston, was the most expensive highway project in history. Plagued with delays and cost overruns, as well as local opposition, construction began as far back as 1982 and wasn't fully completed until New Year's Eve 2007, over 25 years later, although parts of the project opened officially in 2003, which ended what was a long ordeal for local residents that is still remembered today. Once back on the surface, I-93 crosses the Charles River via the Leonard Zachem Bunker Hill Memorial Bridge, and into northern Boston and eventually its northern suburbs. From here, 93 passes through relatively populated areas and junctions with the 2 major Boston beltways. First, a second crossing with I-95, and then shortly after, a junction with I-495, after which it passes by the city of Lawrence, Massachusetts, and crosses the Merrimack River, then soon enters New Hampshire. The New Hampshire section of I-93 is by far the longest, at 132 miles. It is also the most important route within the state, passing through its most populated area and linking it with the Boston area to the south. Upon entering the state, 93 passes within the vicinities of Nashua and Manchester, providing access to the direct routes to both cities. North of Manchester, 93 hugs the Merrimack River, where it soon junctions with the southern end of I-89, and then quickly enters the state capital at Concord. Moving on, 93 then turns to a more due north-south direction and heads for the more rural northern part of the state, where it traverses the Franconia Notch through the impressive White Mountains. At one point, the valley becomes so narrow that I-93 merges down to 1 lane of traffic in each direction, a true rarity within the interstate highway system, with a speed limit of 45 miles per hour and barriers in the median. Once emerging from the mountains, 93 heads northeast again, through a couple of small towns before leaving the state into Vermont once it crosses the Connecticut River near Littleton. Unlike the first 2 states, I-93's time in Vermont is very brief, traveling for only 11 miles through a mostly rural area. This section has only 1 exit, which leads to the nearby town of St. Johnsbury, as well as the Vermont Welcome Center. The highway makes a significant turn to the southwest for its final 3 miles, and then terminates at a junction with I-91, ending its 190-mile total run. Oh, that's going to be it for this episode. It was a little bit shorter, I know, but this was a shorter highway, so that's what happens. There's a lot of those out there too, you know. But anyway, I really hope you enjoyed, and I hope you learned something today. That's usually the aim of these videos. Please make sure to like and subscribe. That always helps out a lot. And be sure to check out the VRT Discord. The link is in the description. There's usually some interesting discussions going on in there, or we're trying to. We got to get some more people in there, but Check that out. There's also updates and announcements in there as well. And yeah, so as always, enjoy the ride. And next up, Interstate 91. I'll see you then.